Pretty much everything you need to know about taming and using an Amargasaurus in ARK Survival Evolved. The Amargasaurus can only be located within the northern and southern mountainous regions of the ARK Lost Island DLC map. These areas are known as the Corsair Peaks and Zenola to the north, and the Tuscarora Mountains to the south. Using an S+ tech transmitter, I was able to scan and locate all of the current Amargasaurus spawns on the map, so you can use these rough coordinates if you'd like. If you're still having trouble locating them, just listen to the ambient sound of menopause hot flashes and budget Jurassic Park music to bag yourself an E.T. Bronto! God, why does the concept art look so f***ing homely? Alright, so how do you go about taming one of these Gazell-Ephants, you might ask? And yes, I'm coining that phrase Gazell-Ephant. You heard it here first, Bunna Gaming 2021, #Gazell-Ephant. Well, the Amargasaurus is a passive tame that must be taken on hunts to earn its trust and fed its favorite food along the way at certain intervals. Like other passive tames in the game, the food must be placed on the last slot of your hotbar so you'll see the prompt to feed it once it's time. The Amargasaurus' top 3 foods are exceptional kibble, crops, and berries. Before you start taming the Amargasaurus though, there are a few more details you'll need to know. The Amargasaurus can be highly aggressive towards other creatures and players, meaning you'll need a way of approaching it without immediately being spotted. Ghillie armor and a combination of bug repellent and cactus broth are highly recommended to reduce the aggro radius of the creature and ensure a smooth taming process. I would also recommend bringing along some medical brews to heal up in case you take damage. Sweet vegetable cakes can be used to heal the Amargasaurus along the way as well, so I'd recommend bringing some just in case. Amargasauruses are creatures heavily focused on insulation, and part of the taming process is synchronizing your temperature with its temperature. Because of this, it's highly recommended to wear armor with high insulation values in combination with consumables, such as Callian soup or fry a curry, depending upon the climate you're in. In addition to all of this stuff, you're going to need some good weapons with you to effectively hunt with the Amargasaurus, which I'll be explaining more in just a minute. I would highly recommend something along the lines of a pump shotgun or compound bow, as ranged DPS is your best option. Just be careful not to shoot the Amargasaurus and avoid getting caught between it and other aggressive creatures you're trying to help fight. So if you're looking for the Cliff Note version, wear ghillie armor, bring good ranged weapons, and consume bug repellent, cactus broth, Callian soup or fry a curry depending upon the climate you're in, and have medical brews and sweet vegetable cakes on standby. Once you're feeling confident in your armor, weapons, and buffs, simply approach the Amargasaurus and press E to synchronize your temperatures to begin the taming process. The Amargasaurus will then enter the aforementioned hunting phase and become super pissed, following you around and attacking all other aggressive creatures nearby. If you venture too far from the Amargasaurus, it will stop following you and you'll see a notification on your screen letting you know that you ventured too far. If their health drops below 80% at any point in time during the taming process, they will begin losing taming effectiveness. Sweet vegetable cakes can be placed on the last slot of your hotbar and fed to the Amargasaurus along the way to keep it healed up. Whenever you successfully help the Amargasaurus in a fight, small particles will emit from its head letting you know that taming progress has been made. The level and type of creature you kill with the Amargasaurus seems to have a direct impact on the amount of taming progress that's provided. For example, a level 1 Allosaurus provided a 0.4% gain in taming progress, while a level 150 Allosaurus provided a gain of 2.1% taming progress. At first I thought maybe the taming progress was based solely on the level of the creature, however I believe the type of creature matters as well. As another example, I killed a level 1 Allosaurus which again provided a 0.4% gain in taming progress, while a level 1 Rex provided a 2.2% gain in taming progress. So while it would seem in your best interest to kill the highest level creature on the food chain possible, remember that the Amargasaurus begins losing effectiveness if it drops below 80% health. At certain intervals, the Amargasaurus will get hungry and request food, which is when you'll need to equip it on the last slot of your hotbar. Once the food's been equipped, simply approach it and press E to feed it, which slightly boosts the taming progress and reinitiates the hunting phase. Simply repeat this process of feeding the Amargasaurus food when prompted, and allowing it to kill other aggressive creatures to complete the taming process. Because of the unconventional and potentially dangerous method of taming an Amargasaurus, constructing a trap to assist in the taming process might not be a bad idea. Once your temperature has been synchronized with the Amargasaurus, you can easily lead it into a pre-built trap, or construct one on the go using dino gateways or pillars.
Oh yeah?
Trapping the Amargasaurus within a structure ensures that it doesn't attack anything too dangerous that it can't handle, and avoids the worry of losing taming effectiveness in the open world. The only problem with this is, the Amargasaurus must be actively involved in the fight where it's dealing or receiving damage in order to advance its taming progress. Simply killing aggressive creatures nearby won't work, which means that you'll have to let the Amargasaurus out of the taming pen when you lure a creature towards it, or simply stay in a safe position while a tribe mate brings aggressive creatures towards you. The Amargasaurus' ranged spike attack will count as DPS towards creatures, so if it has a line of sight to the target, it may be able to hit them from afar. I tried testing to see if personal tames could be used in some way to advance taming progression, however it would seem that once a creature has been claimed by a tribe, it will no longer provide any sort of boost to the Amargasaurus' taming progress. I even attempted to set the tame to aggressive before unclaiming it, but this unfortunately didn't change the outcome. With some more testing, I was able to uncover that baby creatures do work in providing taming progress, so using unclaimed babies bred from personal tames might be a viable option, although I didn't test it any farther beyond this point. Once tamed, the Amargasaurus can be saddled and ridden like many other creatures in ARK. The Amargasaurus saddle can be unlocked at level 55 using 18 engram points and requires the following resources in order to craft. Alright, so let's dive into the controls and functionality of the Gazell-Ephant to showcase some of what it can do. Pressing the left mouse button performs a next swipe ability that does moderate damage. Pressing the right mouse button will enter a mortar mode, allowing you to aim and fire spikes at the targeted area using the left mouse button. Pressing the C key will cycle between the 3 different types of spikes available. And finally, pressing the spacebar will enter fixed movement mode, which locks the Amargasaurus in the current plane of movement and allows you to put the spikes in a precise manner to blanket an area with AoE more easily. The Amargasaurus features a very unique spike system that applies different debuffs to enemies within the AoE depending upon the spike type selected. Purple spikes will reduce a player's armor down to primitive status, red spikes will apply dot damage before igniting targets, and blue spikes will slow and eventually freeze targets in place. As an added bonus, switching between the different types of spikes will deal AoE damage to the enemies around the Amargasaurus and debuff them according to the type of spike selected. The Amargasaurus' purple armor AoE works by temporarily reducing an enemy player's armor down to the primitive level of the tier of gear they're wearing. In this example, I was testing Flak, and while I was unaffected by the AoE in primitive gear, the moment that I equipped Ascendant gear, I acquired a stacking debuff that reduced my overall armor value down to that of a primitive Flak set. The Amargasaurus' red fire AoE will slowly cause damage over time to creatures within the radius, before eventually igniting the target on fire for large burst of dot damage. And finally, the Amargasaurus' blue cold AoE will slow creatures down within the radius before eventually freezing them in place. Their spikes cannot damage structures of any tier, however their melee attacks can damage up to wood tier. You can store up to 20 ammunition spikes at a time, and it takes approximately 12 seconds for a spike to regenerate. Spike AoEs last for approximately 60 seconds each, meaning that you could blanket an entire area indefinitely if you wanted to. The Amargasaurus will passively produce spikes over time that can be harvested within its radial wheel menu. These spikes can be placed inside of a tree sap tap to drastically increase the production and quantity of sap over time, speeding up production rate to approximately 1 sap every 30 seconds. Just be aware that these spikes have a spoil timer of 30 minutes in your inventory, or 6 hours when placed inside of a tree sap tap. The Amargasaurus provides a natural boost to hyperthermic and hypothermic insulation values while you're riding it, keeping you safe from harsh environmental conditions. The Amargasaurus is proficient in gathering berries and thatch, however is incapable of harvesting meat products. The Amargasaurus features fairly quick movement speed on land, comparable to a Diplodocus. It slows down substantially in bodies of water, however its aforementioned boost to insulation values are super useful when combating the colder temperatures in deeper water. So with all these different controls and functionality in mind, what is the Amargasaurus' main use? Aside from confusing the f*** out of big game hunters. Holy shit, Jeff, is that a Gazell-Ephant? Well, given the Amargasaurus' moderate health and stamina, decent carry weight, fairly quick travel speeds, natural insulation boosting mechanics, and PvP-oriented offensive abilities, I would categorize the Amargasaurus as either a travel mount or a PvP mount. If a travel mount is what you're looking for, you want to invest mainly into health, stamina, and weight, with optional point investment into movement speed and damage. As aforementioned, the Amargasaurus' natural movement speed and insulation boosting properties make it a fantastic travel companion when exploring the ARKs, especially in areas with extremely harsh climates. Their ability to produce natural spikes that can boost sap production can come in clutch in certain scenarios where you need access to sap quickly and don't have time to wait for it. If a PvP mount is what you're looking for, you want to invest mainly into health, stamina, and damage, with optional point investment into weight. The Amargasaurus' offensive spike AoE abilities have a multitude of uses in PvP scenarios. Stacking the different types of spikes together can lead to some devastating effects on the battlefield by reducing the enemy's armor to primitive levels, igniting groups of enemies on fire, and freezing opponents that may be trying to escape. The Amargasaurus will be a fantastic defensive or offensive siege creature when dealing with confined areas or choke points such as base entrances or gateways. Their AoE abilities could blanket an entire area and prevent enemies from entering or exiting easily, making them a truly invaluable creature in these scenarios. Alright, well that about wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching! If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave this video a like down below, subscribe to the channel with notifications on to stay up to date on all of my latest content, join the Discord for a community of like-minded woodland creatures, and please keep leaving me comments because they warm my little bun of heart. Thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.